Good morning, everyone.
Hi, good morning, sir. Very good.
Hey, what's up?
I'm gonna do.
I'm quiet. Hey, good morning, those of you who are on this morning. All right, it's Labor Day. All right, I think it's Labor Day. It's a holiday with that. Good morning. Cheryl Strunam is in the house. All right, Erica is in the house. Okay, just tag someone, invite someone. I know it's early. Somebody says a holiday. We have to sleep. Right, Ricardo's in the house. Blessings, blessings. All right, Keeshon, how was your weekend?
It was good. Hectic as usual. How about you?
It was quiet. It was quiet. All right, it was Father's Day.
Yeah.
It was quiet, really really quiet. Uh, uh, yeah, I want to go back this morning. We're gonna go back into the crab mentality
Okay.
because yeah, we didn't finish it.
Yeah.
So I think so we want to get into that this morning. All right, folks, welcome to the morning breakfast brew with Keeshon, Ian, um, basically in the area of personal development. Those of you who are on, probably tag a friend, invite someone, let them know that the morning breakfast brew is on, and we into some discussion on personal development. All right, so a couple of sessions ago, we did something called eliminating the crab mentality. Eliminating the crab mentality. So I want to jump into that. Those of you on this morning, if you have any questions that you're pending there, I want you to just text it so we can get into some of that discussion this morning. All right, to answer some of your questions in the area, whatever you have. All right, pleasant morning. All right, just okay. So those of you who are on, whatever question you have this morning, we want to take some questions, probably in some of the topics that we have been discussing, probably in a particular area where you're dealing with probably a challenge in your business, right? I think on the last session we did problem solving, all right, and we get into that. Okay, so and I think that is also we didn't finish problem solving either, all right. But I want to get into the crab mentality, all right,
Yeah.
because one of the things with the crab mentality, I give the definition of the crab mentality. We say it's a self destructive action, okay, of a group or to intentionally undermine and work against the success of others in the group. But one of the area I also touch on crab mentality is a group activity, but it also can be an individual activity.
Yeah.
Okay, because remember we said if it's a group activity, we spoke about it as being undermining. Okay, where a group of people come together to undermine the work or the progress or your success. But what
Mhm.
I also look at also is, and as an individual, you can literally allow a crab mentality to really stop you from even moving forward. All
Yeah.
right. And the thing I like about this, even getting into this aspect of it, some of the things that we touch on this aspect, we talk about the driving force of a crab mentality. And one of the driving force we were able to establish, right? Awesome morning, good, awesome is on. All right. We were able to establish some of the driving force um, with a crab mentality, and one of the things was envy. Okay, and I
Yeah.
know that the teaching that we touch on from the angle that we are taking it. I know some of us have never really get into that aspect, into the depth of it, in terms of like the the driving force that we look at, like when we talk about envy. All right, we talk about envy, we talk about jealousy and strife. All right, and then we get into the disclosure of a crab mentality. Okay,
Mhm.
so I just want to touch on some of those things again this morning.
Sure.
All all right, because it deals with basically like a box mindset.
Yeah.
Okay, remember with the whole crab. Let's go back into that aspect. The whole crab thinking of when all the crabs are in the barrel. Okay, and one of the crab decide to make its way out, and it must get leverage from the other crabs to come out. And as it reaches the lid, another crab comes and pulls, and everything you got to start over again.
Yeah.
And it's really speaking about and for me, one of the things with this aspect is somebody have to go and get it.
Yeah.
All right, somebody have to go and get it, and even in going and get it, you need the support. You need support of people around you. um I think you see this sometimes. You see this a lot in communities, but also in families.
Yeah.
All right, because when people think that you don't really have what it takes to be successful, what you're trying, what you try. Give me some feedback on that. There, I'm Keeshon. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. You could see that prominent within our society,
Mhm. Yeah.
and even more so if you look at Caribbean culture. And the reason I'm saying Caribbean
Yeah.
culture is because
Mhm.
our ancestors would have had what we call that period in history whereby we were actually conditioned to be divided and ruled.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
that mindset would have perpetuated itself into the DNA of many of us. And as you
Yeah.
always say, we need to be very conscious and starting to reprogram ourselves. So
Yeah. Yeah.
you could see that definitely amongst our society is very prevalent. And again, majorly in my opinion is because of the fact that our rich Caribbean history of colonization. Yeah, that divide
So,
and
so you,
rule
you think,
mindset.
and that's something I want to get into it. If you think it's a culture, it's a cultural
Yeah,
behavior. Yeah.
definitely. I
And
mean, I'm a student of history, and
okay,
history
wonderful.
allows you to really observe society from a review standpoint. So
Okay.
yes,
Okay.
you move forward, but you're looking backward in the review with the information I was shared with you in the history books. And when you read our past, when you read about our history, and
Mm-hmm.
especially when it pertains to the crab mindset, you'd realize
Mm-hmm.
that it was by an archetype, it was by architecture, it was design,
Yeah.
especially if you looked into like the work of men like Willie Lynch, right?
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, which is the guy that created and taught the philosophy of how to make a slave. The entire
Wow.
ideology of the making of a slave was
Yeah.
created on the foundation of division.
Wow.
So
This is good. This is good. Let's go into this. This is interesting. Very interesting. Uh, because the reason why I come back on the crab mentality because and what I ask you there is intentional in terms of
yeah,
the
yeah,
cultural aspect of it, because
yeah,
you see it with a certain culture.
yeah, it is
All right,
culture.
behavior, the behavior, fighting each other, fighting
Hmm.
each other when it comes to success, when it comes to getting ahead. That
Exactly.
the crab mentality is also dominant in a particular culture. All
For
right.
sure.
Before you continue, those of you who are on, please, we are discussing the crab mentality, but we are going into it in more in depth this morning. We ask that those of you who have questions, those of you who have any kind of contribution towards it, do you think it's a culture? It's a culture developed, all right, from a culture. So just
Yeah,
just put some questions. All right. I see Norton say that yes, I agree. That has deposited this mentality to the culture and strife amongst the people. All right,
yeah.
go ahead, Keisha. Let's go into that culture aspect again.
Yes, I mean, um, for those of you who are familiar with Willie Lynch, the word
Yeah.
Lynch came from his last name. And, he came from the West Indies, and he would have taught the entire globe, teaching the
Mm,
philosophy of how to make a slave. And
Wow.
simply put, in
Mm,
his book, the synopsis of the creation of a slave is lose the mind but keep the body. And he would have went around the world teaching the philosophy of how to keep a certain group of people, right, enslaved. And when I say enslaved, of course, having people physically there but mentally gone. If you was to
mm,
read his book, The Making of a Slave, you would recognize that the entire book is about utilizing differences to create strive
mm,
amongst a certain grouping of persons. Whereby he said, differences is the strength of the making of a slave. You wanna utilize the color code system, so you
mm,
would literally create a system whereby you use all the differences. For example, you use the male against the female, you use the old against the young, you use
mm,
the black against the brown, you use the brown against the white, you use the short against the tall, you use the any difference that could be identified. It was the foundation of the creation of that mental strife. And the reason they had to do that, remember, when you study history, remember the planters, they were always in the minority, and
yeah.
the slaves was always in the majority. So the mechanism that was the foundation of slavery was, again, losing the mind, keeping the body, but it was built on creating strife amongst differences, whereby they had to create a culture where perspective
Mm,
was always whereby you fought against someone that you should be working together with, but you had to actually see it through the eyes of a distinct difference. So when you
mm.
start reading the book, dividing and rule was the objective.
Wow, 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 wow.
So,
That,
you have this
that,
whole group of people coming from the same
yeah.
sector of society. But again, because of how they were conditioned to see the distinct differences, so that they created fight amongst one another. They created strife against each other, old against the young, short against the tall, fat against the skinny, brown against the black, and the black against the white. Literally color coded system. You can still see it
The
operational,
behavior, yeah,
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 within our culture, within Caribbean culture.
yeah.
You know, so definitely is a culture, right?
All right, folks. The discussion this morning is on the crab mentality from a particular cultural aspect, and I know
Yeah,
it's going to be kind of touchy. This discussion will be touchy because nobody like to talk about it. All right,
yeah,
but yet the behavior, nobody like to talk about it. Yet you see the behavior with a particular culture fighting against each other when
yeah,
it comes to success, when it comes to progress, when it comes to anything. All right.
correct.
And we are going to this morning. Somebody asked a question. Norton asked a question. How do you change the culture? Because this is one of our biggest problem in Suriname. Wow. You
Yeah.
want to come in there, Keeshon? I will pull on you this morning. Go ahead.
One thing I learned that stood out to me in studying sociology, because I had my fair share of learning
Yeah,
sociology, right?
yeah.
I learned that the definition of a norm is pattern for behavior and not pattern of behavior. And that
Hmm.
stood out to me
Pattern
because in
for me.
learning, yeah, so
Mhm.
you would actually think that a norm is a pattern of behavior. I mean, I thought that a norm is a pattern of behavior, whereby you would have
Yeah,
studied society and society would have developed certain norms as to how they
yeah.
operated. But that's not the case. When you study
Mm,
sociology, a norm is a pattern for behavior. In other words, somebody decides to set the trend. So when you're speaking about culture, especially Caribbean culture, you look around and you ask yourself, well, why do we have this type of mindset, this box mindset as a society? And you might just assume, it's a pattern of behavior. But the truth
mhm.
is, it's designed as a pattern for behavior.
Wow,
So then we
wow,
need to
wow.
ask ourselves, who created the pattern for the
Pretty much.
behavior that we have as a people?
Right.
And that's
Okay,
why I
okay.
started pulling on the work of Willie Lynch, because his work is predominantly seen alive today with regard to brothers and sisters operating,
Yeah.
against each other for the production of a sector of society. So that's something to note.
It is really, really, folks. Just put up your question there, share your contribution. We're dealing with a crab mentality from a cultural perspective because we see this behavior in a particular culture in the Caribbean where they fight against one another, fight against each other when it comes to success, when it comes to progress, when it comes to advancement. All right. But when you look at other cultures, you see more a unity, you see a more support. You understand? You see
Yeah.
that you saw it even when you go like in America. We're gonna come back to your answer the question, Norton. Put your question up. We're gonna get into this question. Like different particular cultural group when they come to America, all right,
Yeah.
they will rally together. They will rally together. All of them will rent one house. They
Yeah.
will
Yeah.
sleep together there, bunk together. All right. And one of the concept, because I dealt with a lot of them because as a result of having a mechanic shop up there. So you will deal with a different cultures coming in,
Yeah.
Africans, Chinese, just name it, Haitian, everybody. So you will have these kind of close conversation. But when you look, you see a particular culture will come together, families, friends will come together, live in one house, help
Yeah.
pay the rent. And one of the system they have in place there is that they pool their finance together. All
Yeah.
right. Then they bill one family at a time, one person at a time. So when that one person get that house, we help that one person get that house. Bam, we pool together again, get the next person get the house, get a job, and that kind of supportive until in probably 3 years time, you see everybody just begin to expand and
Yeah.
and moving because of that team effort and that unity effort. Okay, but when you look at the different particular other culture, African culture and things, there's always
Yeah.
a fight. There's always a fight. No,
Correct.
I remember saying this to someone, and they would say, "Oh, you want to equate everything to slavery." but if you understand paradigms and the subconscious mind
Yeah.
and that
Yeah.
whole framing of your subconscious, if you understand that, you will know that at the end of the day it plays an integral part in your belief system, in your
Of course.
perspective, in how you view things going forward. All
Of
right, and
course.
it runs in the generation coming down, in the lineage coming down. All right,
Yeah.
part of your DNA. No, you may not be in that, but if you study those things, you will realize that it has a contributing factor. All
For
right.
sure.
So Norton asks the question: how do you change the culture? All right, because
Yeah.
this is one of the biggest problem in Suriname.
Yeah.
Somebody
Yeah.
have to really step up. And you see, you go now into begin to educate it, okay, in terms of knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Knowledge. All right. Information. So you begin to start exposing people to the proper knowledge. And I'm using this word knowledge in the right way, because I'm saying right knowledge, not just knowledge, because you understand what there's a system now in school where they give you knowledge, but a particular type of knowledge they still keep you down.
Of course.
All right. Because long ago, and I heard this, I get this from you, Keisha. Long ago, you will have, for instance, they will keep them from knowledge, because keep them from reading, because this was part of the concept in slavery. You
Yeah.
don't let them read, you expose them to book and all that stuff. All right. So that work at a particular time, but now it's not like that. Yes,
Correct.
send them to schools, send them to give them the education, give them the knowledge, but give them a particular type of knowledge to keep them thinking a certain
Exactly.
way, because they
Correct.
understand the power of information, they understand the power of knowledge.
Yeah.
All right. So we're here saying not just knowledge, the right knowledge, not just
Right.
studying, but studying the right thing. That is
Exactly.
important. So part of shifting that culture is the right education, the right knowledge to begin to shift. Guess what? Your that subconscious mind. All
Yeah.
right. Let's see what some of the folks are saying. Keeshon, go ahead. Let's see what's
I mean, to add to that, right? And this is me just quoting, paraphrasing, the Making of a Slave by Willie Lynch. He said, "My methods are so foolproof that if you were to enforce it, it will last at least 400 years." Now,
Woo!
when I was first introduced to it, I was wondering to myself, because of course I read this, some couple of years back, And I was wondering,
yeah.
400 years? But of course, I didn't have the information of the subconscious mind as yet. I wasn't introduced to that as yet. So I wasn't able to put together the pieces that helped me understand that once you, I would say, brainwash, or once you deposit information into the back of the subconscious mind without people rising up and becoming conscious of how
Yeah.
subconscious mind work, they will just replay the programs that somebody played into them, not for one or two generations, but for as many generations as possible, until one or two persons rise up in the family that decides to possess an understanding of how that part of the mind works.
Wow. This is
Yeah.
this is good. This is good, Keeshon. Folks, and we have a lot of people on there, a lot of folks on contributing to the chat. All right,
Yeah.
we're gonna get to the chat. So please put your question up, put your contribution up this morning, because we wanted to have this kind of interaction, and also share this on your Facebook or on your WhatsApp. Send it to someone, right? Because I believe that getting into this aspect of the crab mentality, because we said it's also, it's a group, also individual, but we say, as again, a particular culture. Now let me share this here. Here, the Willie Lynch. Now I'm gonna read it here for you. A
Yeah.
foolproof formula for controlling black slaves was set forth by
Exactly.
Willie Lynch in 1712.
Correct.
Right, introducing Lynch's How to Make a Slave.
How to make us sleep.
Frederick Douglass noted that Lynch, a slaveholder in the West Indies, was invited to a colony in Virginia to teach his methods to slave owners. The term lynching is derived from this last name.
Yeah.
That's where you get lynching from.
Correct.
Right? And like what you just said there, it's foolproof to work for the 400 years.
At least 400 years.
Wow. No, this is, and folks, those of you who are on, this is a good book to really get into the Willie Lynch, get into it, pull it up. It's all on YouTube, it's all over. You could get audio, you could just pull it up and get into it and read about it. All right. Now it's really, it's really something that says some of you may not want to get into it, because as I said before, nobody would like to talk about this thing.
Yeah.
But yet, in a particular culture, you see the behavior. You know what someone said in OK, they said that when people work in a company, all right, for and this is for like black people, is that all right? You put one of them in charge. So you take a black person, all right, African, and you put them as a supervisor over the others.
Yeah.
Right? And that individual will be so dominant and dogmatic.
Yeah.
And that is how they control the others. Because it's always a fight them. It's always a fight them. Always a fight them with a particular culture. All right. So we need culture revolution. I mean, that's important, folks. That cultural revolution is important. All right. How can we influence the breaking of this mentality? I'm working on with someone with the kids in JN and the community to help break the mindset. All right. So this is a question here. Someone asks, how can we break the mentality? The mentality. Now, again, some of the same things that we teach in here on the morning breakfast brew, some of the same thing we teach in the Minding My Business Kingdom School, which deals with shifting your mindset, reprogramming your mind. The reprogramming of mind is important, because most individuals, the construct of their mind has already been formed, all right, through the years growing up, right? And we're not talking about we're not just talking about in terms of the DNA in your bloodline. We're talking about an individual coming on the scene, and the subconscious mind, that framework is being shaped and formed since it started based in your mother's womb, right, through the umbilical cord, because the DNA, the generation is used, come through that umbilical cord. So everything is feed into. Also, you're talking about chromosome. I think it's 20 something chromosome, 26 something chromosome from the father, from the mother. All right, so that is so you literally, as a child being born, coming into existence with close to 50 chromosomes.
Yeah.
All right, from your mother, from your father, and in the chromosome carries the whole DNA in the
Yeah.
bloodline, everything that is in the bloodline. So without you even doing anything, without you even saying anything, you come into existence with issues from the bloodline of that generation.
Yeah.
Okay. And those of you who have ever studied bloodline issue and DNA, you will understand how profound and powerful this is.
Yeah.
Okay. So the framework of your mind, you come into existence with that being part of that being formed. Now, when you come now, you're talking about culture, you're talking about authority figures, you're talking about life experiences, you're talking
Correct.
about all kind of stuff impacting and shaping your belief system. So you look at somebody that is 25, 30, 40, and they think a certain way, they act a certain way, they behave a certain way as a result of the framework of their mind that has been formed over the
Yeah.
past years.
Correct.
Okay. And that is why, like, and this person Northern put up this question. That is why the impact and the influence of shifting a culture and shifting in the people got to start at a young age.
Of course.
Critical. If you
Yeah.
study Hitler and all those guys in
Yeah.
terms of their concept, is with the youths, you know.
Yeah. He that controls the youth controls the future. That's
It's,
that's
I'll
that's
tell
his quote.
you. Remember, the Jews have a concept that said, "Give me a child from 1 to 7, all right,
Yeah.
from 1 year old to 7 years, and I'm going to give you back a man."
Correct. Yeah.
All right, because remember, those are formative stage in the life of a child.
Yeah.
Okay, we call it the peer impact stage. Okay, the peer impact stage. So getting the right information, the right exposure to right knowledge, and also in terms of experiences at that formative age is critical.
Correct.
So we look at so you looking at somebody, a child, you get a child 15, 16 years, 70 years, 80 years. All right. That tree is difficult to bend at that stage, you know.
Hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
This is so let's see what some folks are saying. All right. Um, so all right, just to say, what is this? So notable with some group. What is this? Why is this probably I don't know if the person wants to say, why is this so notable with some groups? All right. You want to tackle that, Keeshon?
Let
Why
me
it's so notable?
well,
Particular
I'll
group?
just share, in general, I'll just share. And I know as we
That's
share, we'll answer a couple of questions. So we're speaking about the crab in the barrel and the crab that's coming up to the top, right?
Yeah.
Let me give you an example from the Willie Lynch program, the lynching program. The crab
Right.
that is
Okay.
climbing to the top that needs the leverage of others.
Right.
Now, the way they would lynch in a community is they would go into the community and they would look for a male, they would look for the biggest, they would look for the strongest, they would look for the wisest, they would look for the leader amongst the entire community. And when they're able to identify the person with the most influence, the person with the most strength, the person with the most leadership capability, they will, after identifying that person, this could be identified as a crab trying to reach to the top with the leverage of the community, right? When they identify that crowd, when they identify that individual, the objective then is to lynch or to literally belittle this individual publicly. So what they will
Wow.
do is they will gather the entire community together. They
Right.
will obviously identify that individual, the crowd that is just about to rise above the bucket for the sake of the community, and they would literally they say they will beat that person publicly to the point where they place the fear of God in him. They will beat him so bad that they rip his skin, they tear his skin. They would literally set him on fire alive. They will then take the end of his both bodies, his head and his feet. It will be tied to two horses facing opposite directions. The two horses will be beaten to the point where they go opposite directions, and they will literally rip him apart in two publicly.
Wow.
Now, let me tell you the effect of that, and let me tell you why the mindset that was created in the culture is what we call sometimes a mechanism to cope with what people actually saw. Because you
Yeah.
see,
Yeah.
what they're doing is they're disseminating a subconscious message to the rest of the community. One, if
Yeah.
you do that, if you try to rise above the barrel, this is what is in store for you.
Right. Right. Right.
So
Right. Gotcha.
the first message is you're a crab and you
Mm-hmm.
ought to stay inside of the barrel. And for
Hmm.
anyone that tries to come out of the barrel, we have this in store for you.
Right. Okay. Okay.
Literally,
Okay.
that's the first
Yeah.
message. Now,
Mm-hmm.
let me share one of the most powerful things I understood in the grooming of slaves to come.
Yeah.
They would
Yeah.
predominantly have the woman look at this, not just the male, but the woman. Why? You see, the mother is the first teacher of the child, and when the female population sees this, what is in store for the male? Now, we have to understand that grooming a slave population to come, as you rightfully say, he that controls the youth controls the future.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
other males who already accustomed to freedom, they are already gonna try to revolt. They're already gonna try to grab, and come out at the top. But here's the major deep reason behind having the females predominantly look at the act, because they know when the females look at the act, the mother is the first teacher of the child. And
Mm-hmm.
in historically, the mother would have been around the children more than the males, because the males would have been working in the field.
Right.
So here's what they looked forward for. They looked forward for the mother grooming and teaching her children not to possess the characteristics that could get them lynched. What is the
Hmm.
characteristics that could get them lynched? Because you have to understand it's a mechanism of protection from the female to the children, because the female knows if they breed or bring a child into the world that possess leadership qualities,
Right.
influential qualities, have a
Mm-hmm.
specific mindset,
Yeah.
speaking certain things, thinking
Yeah.
certain things, saying certain things, that child could be dead before he's an adult.
Yeah. Yeah.
So here it is, you have a group of females that is now grooming and breeding an entire culture of
Hmm.
male and females at a
Hmm.
very early age as a result of a protection mechanism, because remember, they already know the characteristics that could get their children killed or
Wow.
lynched.
Hmm.
So the lynching method was done not just to directly deal with the alive slave population, but the population that was not yet alive. And what they dealt with is the characteristics that oppose the entire plantocracy. So, one,
Wow.
the idea
Wow.
of being free, the idea of running away, the
That's
idea of
gone.
jumping out of the barrel, the
Yeah.
idea
Yeah. That's
of community coming together,
gone. That's gone.
leadership qualities, being able
Oh.
to bring slaves together.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And the females would literally teach and train their own their children to be almost crippled.
Hmm. Wow. Wow.
That's how deep it
Wow.
goes. I wouldn't go
It's
too
deep.
far, but I'm
No, it's
sharing
deep.
that.
It's deep. It's deep. It's deep. It's deep. It's deep. And you know what you're saying. They give credit to again how how the subconscious mind is being developed.
Yeah, correct.
Exposure, what you expose it to. All right, life experience, what you experience. So when they bring uh 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 that dominant slave in front of everyone, and
Yes.
break that slave. That
Correct.
experience, that's what you see in there, that is impacting your subconscious mind.
Of course.
Yeah,
They
because
even had, even had instances, for example, in countries like Jamaica, where they will sexually assault the male in
that's
front
another level.
of
Yeah,
the
that's another level.
in front of
In
the
front of
entire.
in front of the
Yeah.
break them.
This is why when you look at Jamaica from a culture, they have this extreme
Hmm.
homophobic operation. It's
Yeah,
because of the culture that
yeah,
came
yeah,
out of
yeah,
slavery.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You can imagine that. That's crazy.
Folks, those of you who are on, we discussing the crowd mentality from a cultural perspective, and by no means we are just saying this is it, but it's important to understand where these behaviors started, because
Correct.
issues that runs in your DNA is critical, right? Because if
Exactly.
you understand, look, years ago, this is years ago, 17 something, Willie Lynch did this, okay,
Yeah.
and again, it show you how your subconscious mind can be shaped and formed. So if it could, and it's done, it was done intentionally. So at
Exactly.
this level, you can literally intentionally say, listen to me, the proper information, the right information, the right experience, and on a repetitious basis to begin to shape and form your subconscious mind, so your behavior can shift and also your
Yes.
perspective can shift. Okay.
Mhm.
Now, to add credit to what it is you were saying, one of the strategies here is break the spirit of the man much. All right. Like you are breaking the spirit of a horse,
Yeah.
and ride the woman as though she were a wild ass until she is tame and offers
Correct.
no resistance.
None.
Wow.
Hmm.
All right. The black slave, after receiving this introduction, all right, shall carry on and become self refueling and self generating for hundreds of years,
Hundreds of
maybe
years.
thousands, maybe thousands. All
Correct.
right. All right. You must split the old black male versus the young male. You must use
Exactly.
the dark skinned slaves versus the light skinned
Light
slaves,
skin
vice
skin.
versa. You must use the female versus the male, and vice versa. And you see it in the culture. All right.
Yes.
Light skin, dark skin, all right, preference and behavior. Listen, you
Mhm.
see it, you see it, you see it, and you want to know why you think like that. Going back,
Came
it's
from
going
there.
back. It came from somewhere, the root of it, because it was intentional. And as
Exactly.
again, I'm saying, by no means we are saying, okay, that's it. But what I'm saying, look how these people intentionally did that. Okay.
Exactly.
So at this stage in your life, okay, you can really consciously and intentionally begin to shift and shape and reprogram your subconscious mind.
Exactly.
And this is really powerful. Again, we come back, and this is why for me, and I say this a lot of times, that when I get connected to Bob Protka, the late Bob Protka, my
Yeah.
whole thinking, all right, shift.
Hmm.
It literally shift. Okay, and I began to understand why individuals who sat under good teaching and good things, all right,
Hmm.
yet did not change. I understand that it was really, really a game changer for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
And to
And
add
those
to
of you
that,
who go ahead. Go
you
ahead.
spoke
Yeah.
about DNA. Let me just
Mm,
simplify it. DNA is
yeah.
a next word for information. Nothing more, nothing less. DNA
Mm,
is equivalent to information. When DNA is passed on, it's nothing more than information being passed on. You
right.
know, they say
Information. Right.
that's
Yeah.
it. In your
Yeah.
DNA, the is information being passed on. Hence the reason we look like our great grandparents somehow. Because information was passed on, but along with the information that makes us look the way we look, there's information as well as passing on that is going to make us think the way we think.
Yeah. 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 Hey, folks. This is why, again, personal. And people will say, okay, personal development and think is that, but personal development, really, you personally decide to develop yourself.
Yeah.
You personally decide to, I'm going to develop myself. I'm going to work on myself. This is
Yeah.
why reading is important. This is why reading the right information is important. Studying the right thing is important.
Correct.
Exposure to the right stuff is so critical. So critical, because again we are dealing with that framework of your mind that has been shaped already. So you have to reconstruct that thinking.
Exactly.
Okay, this is why even the Bible speaks about certain things. Repetition, over and over. Let's see what some of the folks are saying. All right, good morning. So this is Juliana Joseph. All right, good morning. Yeah, she said, so if the parents' DNA is contaminated, then the trading or the tree bending has to take place outside of the home.
Yeah.
Listen to me, folks. This is something else, man. Yeah. What that was just to say. So why it is so important to choose your partner? Well, these are good questions. These are good questions. Let me just touch this, because remember, choosing your partner,
Yeah.
right? For those of you, that's a destiny decision. All right, you can't just get up on there and say, okay, no, because remember, Keeshon, you're married into.
Yeah.
It's two generations coming together. Two generations coming together to produce another generation, which is going to be a combination of two generations. Okay, so long ago, and they did this. The Jewish people do this. I tell you, they examine before you go. I heard Dr. was saying this. All right, and he's a Jew, and they did it in Africa. There's a culture that still do this in Africa. They examine your if you choose if I choose to marry somebody. All right, they're going to examine that generation,
Okay.
the lineage. They go back into the father, the grandfather. They go way back and see what are
Serious.
some of what are some of the generational traits that runs in that family. Okay, to see now if they will want their daughter or their son to go into that family. And if
Understood.
it's not in keeping with their beliefs and with what it is they want for their son or their daughter, they don't allow them to marry into that family. Because remember, when two individuals come together, two generations coming together to produce one generation.
Yeah.
Right? So that generation that is produced, that child, is a combination of two generations coming together. So for instance, and I'm going to say, for instance, in your family, you probably didn't have no drunkard, you didn't have no homosexual, you didn't have that. All right.
Yeah.
In your lineage, when you look back, no one was on the other side. But you marry into a family that the wife brother was on the other side, was gay, all right, and
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
the father was like that, okay, and now you marry into that, and the wedding was nice. Let me just paint the picture. The wedding was nice, everybody happy, all right, you get somebody, and the person probably was successful, okay,
Yeah.
but then you all start to produce generation one, generation two. Generation two was nice, generation two was good, but
Yeah.
generation three, when you look at generation three, 4 years, handbrake. You're seeing traits, you're seeing
Yeah.
behavior, you're seeing patterns, and you're thinking, where this come from? Where this
Mm.
come from? But you marry into a generation that produces those things.
Yeah.
So yes, to the individual who asked that question, yes, you should examine what the family that you marry into. This was a cultural practice in Africa.
Wow.
Okay.
That's powerful.
It was. Yeah. You see, we marry based on I love you, I don't love you, and all that stuff. Okay. Doesn't
Yeah.
mean it's not going to work. It doesn't mean that's going to work. But just know that you have to deal with what you produce.
Yeah. Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. So you're going to produce something that is going to be surpass your feelings you have for your mate. You're going to produce something, and what you
Yeah.
produce is based on what's in the lineage, in the
You
generation,
did.
in
Yeah.
your DNA. All right. So that's all right. So, folks, great information. Somebody say, whoa, let me see what Ezra said. All right. So we have to be intentional on changing our thinking. That's right, Ezra. Intentional in changing our thinking. Folks, when you
Yeah.
hear these kind of discussion, listen to me, I'm telling you, when you hear these kind of discussion and the information that we're sharing here, you should just lay back and sit and just no. You gotta get intentional on what you read. All right. You got to create a lifestyle now that is structured for your personal growth and development. You got
Yeah.
to create a system. You got to create a system where you decide, okay, this is what I'm going to listen to for 30 minutes. All right. This is what I'm going to read today. So what comes in now? Why? Because you understand that system that will change or reprogram your thinking. Okay. So the decisions you're making, all right. Yes, listen, Keeshon. The decisions you're making, you want to make the right decision. Okay. But your decision making is coming from, all right, your subconscious mind, because that is that structure there causing you to perceive things in a certain way, causing you to see things in a certain way. Okay. And you will not go beyond that.
Correct.
I'm telling you, no matter how hard you work, no matter how intentional it is, if that system there, that subconscious mind don't change, that paradigm don't change, you will not go beyond that. You remember when we did mental toughness for success? And folks, those of you are on, right? And you need to do any study on this, link with us. Mental toughness for success, right? Because in that teaching, I get into the conscious mind and the subconscious. Because now, what the conscious does, it creates your belief system and your value system. Okay. Correct. So based on the level of your belief system and your value system, when you start to go after something, if it's not in agreement with your belief and your value, your conscience and your subconscious mind make sure you stay on that level.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, you want to reach further. Yes, you want to go further. Yes, you don't like where you are, and you decide to do certain things. But remember, it is going to be a challenge, right? Because when paradigms are formed, there's something called the Terabah.
Yeah.
And just the word alone tells you it is not something good. Which means, though, to break through the Terabah that has been formed, you have to be intentional.
Correct.
You have to do things. You may not feel like, you may not like. You have to be intentional, and you have to be consistent, and you have to be aggressive. You have to go at it, because you're breaking a Terabah that has been formed for years.
Yeah.
Because the paradigm create that Terabah there. And then hear what the Terabah do. So the bar now is formed in the subconscious mind, and you start to move forward. And the minute you hit here, bam, you stop. This is why, Keeshon, individuals, they will be excited about starting a business. They'll be excited about doing a course. Like some of you here, you're excited about the information. And you say that you're going to read it. You say, no, you say, this, I got to get this information. I got to read it. And that's good. But guess what? You may start to do it 1 week, 2 weeks. And then why? Because that you will reach that Terabah. Bam. Yeah. And the minute something in front of you discourage you, bam, Terabah. You fall right back.
Yeah.
The minute you meet an obstacle, something challenge you, the minute, for instance, like the bank say no, or the minute the business don't go how you want it to go, the minute it starts to go contrary, all right, you regress.
Of course. And that's programming.
That's programming, right? And you rest for a week or two, and you do nothing. And then guess what? The third week, you go back living as normal. Like if nothing ever happened. Like if you never start exercising, like if you never start doing anything, you go back to normal. Why? Because you hit that Terabah.
Correct.
Right. Okay. All right. Much love from the smaller island. All right. It was just Tobago to be a small island. All right. All right. Hear what somebody said. The church needs to hear this, that we know the start for the body in the right way help us, Lord. No, this is important. There's a teaching I did, Keeshon, on the reconstruction of the subconscious mind.
Yeah.
Right. Reconstruction. Reconstruct, because there's a mind that was already being constructed already. So you have to reconstruct. And I dealt with all theologies and philosophies from way back that created that whole belief system. And that's why a lot of people deal with them. that kicks in there. It challenged them. So when you hear something new, when you hear something that you never heard before, when you hear something that is contrary to how your belief system was structured, you fight it.
Yeah.
You fight it. And the problem is, And I said to some people, be careful how you fight it. All right, because the it that you're fighting could be God.
Hmm.
and God don't ever lose.
Yeah.
All right, folks. So we are on this morning with just having discussion of crowd mentality. All right. Now, with this said, Keeshon, now you realize in terms of the driving force of the crowd mentality. You see where the
Yeah.
envy comes in, all right?
Yeah.
You see where the jealousy and the strife comes in.
Correct.
Okay. Just allow me just to give back the definition, because people sometimes we hear it, but we didn't hear it. All right.
Also, as you share it, let me just add, as you share it, in
Yeah,
the
go ahead.
same book that you're reading, at the bottom of it, they will show you the different emotions that is stronger than love. You're showing how envy and jealousy is energies that is much stronger than love and that type of thing. And that is the emotion that was used to create a slave. Just saying that from the
Well,
exact same text that you're reading, because I know the text you're reading from.
right. Okay. Good. Right.
Yeah.
So listen, the envy and jealousy
Yeah,
and strife is stronger. It creates
of
a
course.
stronger.
That is the energies that was used to create slavery.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These guys were
That
conscious of what they was doing.
yeah,
Yeah.
conscious, intentional. They know what it's doing. The man, but the guy said 400 years. He said, I guarantee you. And
Yeah.
notice, he was so good at what he was doing. They sent for this guy all over
Yeah.
on slave plantation, and he would
All
come
over the place.
in, set up shop. He would stay for a couple months or whatever, and he will break the slaves in. All
Exactly.
right, and guarantee you, listen to me, these slaves will not leave here
Yeah.
because they have to produce. All right, really
Correct.
produce. All right, folks. Again,
Yes.
this morning.
Give us the definition. Yeah.
Yeah, the definition. So you have the driving force. Now look at it again. Envy. Okay, envy is what? The resentment that comes out of a selfish heart in view of the blessings of others. The resentment that comes out of a resentful heart.
Yeah.
So when you look at others, okay, you look at someone being successful or blessed, or you look at someone say, listen to me, this environment, I know all of us grew up on the block. I know all of us grew up in a poverty-stricken area, and listen to me, I decide, listen, I don't want this. So I'm stepping out. All right. I'm going to get some stuff. I'm going to come back for you, and I'm going to come back. All right. And the minute folks around that environment sees that, guess what? Resentment kicks in.
Of course.
Envy, because that is what envy is. Resentment that comes out of a selfish heart.
Yeah.
Okay. In view of the blessings of others. So you see others moving up. All right. It is the attitude that despises the blessing. All right. Prosperity and success of others simply because you do not like it.
Yeah.
Remember this one. Yeah. Not that you want it or no, you just don't like it.
Yeah.
So you think that this person, you should not be better. You should not succeed. All right. Why? So why you want to be different? Okay. All of us growing up here, all of us in this environment. All right. All of us experiencing the same thing. So tell me why you want to be different.
Yeah.
Okay. And you hear things like, oh, you feel you is the best, and you feel you this. Where that feeling is coming from? It's coming from a place because it's inside of you, because that is what your creator God, all right, put that inside of you. That is why individuals who are living in poverty-stricken and area, that is why you feel discontent, because you know that is not the life for you.
Yeah.
That's why you feel uncomfortable. That's why sometimes you can't sleep in the night. That's why you pace the floor, because you know that is not a life for you. No.
Yeah.
This is why I tell folks that there's a you inside of you haven't met yet, and that you is crying out.
Yeah.
That you that is inside of you is crying out.
Yeah.
But the you that you know want to stifle that you and comfortable. All right, comfortable with lack, comfortable with not being successful, comfortable in that environment. But the minute you get a little exposure to success, exposure to greatness, all right, exposure to better, that you inside of you that you don't know begins to peep out and see, listen to me, hey, I'm seeing something that I could connect with. I'm seeing something I'm familiar with. But that you know, just shut it down. It's a fight. It's a fight. It's a fight.
Sure.
All right. It's a fight. All right. Let's see what this woman says. Thank you for this. Now I see why my students and even my colleagues fight me because the woman is saying, yeah. All right. Yeah. I've lived for 40 years in Holland and brought my education to Suriname. Today I understand it. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Look here, the one said today she understand it.
Yeah.
All right. Understand why you are being fought, why people are fighting you down.
It's designed. Why? It's
designed like that. And sometimes Keeshon, sometimes these individuals can't help themselves, you know.
They can't.
They're just and it's, again, and this is why envy, jealousy, strife, they just can't help it. All right. Yes, it is when you do not want what a person has, but you just do not want them to have it.
Yeah.
All right. You don't want it, you know. But you don't want the success, you don't want the prosperity, you don't want the better life, you don't want it. But guess what? I don't want you to have it.
Mm-hmm.
That is envy.
Yeah.
That is stemmed out of that programming. All right, that we have been through, that runs in that whole DNA. And I'm telling you, folks, when you hear information like this, you can't just sit back. You have to literally be intentional about doing the things that you need to do to get to that place.
Correct.
You know when we explain. Let me explain. I did after 7, but we're going a little after this one. you know when we explain that thing. Cybernetics.
Yes, cybernetics. Yeah.
Cybernetics, right? All right. The cybernetics is a book, all right, and the same programming in the plane, and we can explain this to show you how that whole programming operate.
Yeah.
Okay, because so let's do it with the plane. All right, so the plane takes off to leave from Trinidad to go to Suriname. All right, because we have plenty Suriname folks on. Okay, all right. So, but what the pilot does, all right, he sets the course and the chart in the plane, the system, it's programmed, all right, to get there. And so when the plane leaves now, it's going there. But during the journey from Trinidad to Suriname, the plane will go off course a couple of times. All right? Nobody knows that. But when it goes off course, the minute it goes off course, guess what? That programming, cybernetics, it kicks in, bam. Mm-hmm. And it brings the plane back on track.
Correct.
That's how the paradigm, all right, in the subconscious mind, that's how it works. The programming works. Okay, so the minute you start to say, listen to me, this is not the life I want to live. I want better. I want success. You say, this is not for me. Yeah. And you start now, guess what? You take the courses, you start to read the books, you start to change your environment. That old paradigm just kicks in and says something is wrong with this place here. We're not getting the information that we're supposed to get. They send signals to your whole subconscious and your conscious. All right?
Sure.
And guess what? What they start to do now, they start to bring you back on course. Gradually, bring you back on course. All right? And you see this with losing weight. You see this with anything, with exercise, anything you start to do that you're not accustomed doing. Your whole body, your whole frame now is getting information of something new is taking place. All right, like I'm doing my 30-day challenge. Every morning I'm doing my exercise. Remember, I haven't exercised for a while. Although I look good, I look fit. All right.
As we talk about.
but guess what? Because I didn't do it for a while, and I start now to get into the grind. I get into the grind, but it start hurting. Okay, which means now there's information coming. Like, hey, what's going on with Ian? We're not accustomed with this thing. Just so, in the morning he's exercising, he's doing some stuff. So the pain comes in. I start to feel the pain. I start to feel tired. I start to feel. Guess what? Now my mind telling me, but this is not. Let's just sleep this morning. Listen to the conversation taking place in the mind. What you're trying, move. You take you're going up in age, all kind of stuff. Yeah, rest yourself. And all kind of, so that's the conversation in my mind. All right. But guess what? I'm not listening to that.
Correct.
So you challenge yourself. And sometimes when you're doing these things, Keeshon, I'm telling you, just sharing some stuff with folks. You put it out there. Like I say, Keeshon, listen to me, I'm exercising. Bam, I put it out, a 30-day challenge. I put it on WhatsApp all about. So folks will ask me. So I have to commit myself to this.
Yeah.
Watching to see if there's any improvement, all that stuff. They're watching. So it's challenge. So guess what? I have to hit it. And if you do that consistently, now so guess what? So I'm reprogramming my subconscious mind to create a new program. All right. And I maintain that program through consistency.
Yes.
To change all the results. Exactly. And that's reprogramming. And that's what you have to do with your behavior. So it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be a challenge. All right. You may not feel like it, but you're going to be a challenge. The next one is jealousy. All right. Jealousy is an emotional discomfort that stems from what? The preference, advantage, blessings, or favor. The emotional discomfort. All right. That stems from the preference, advantage, blessings, and favor of other. So you see other people again. Notice these things based on someone else's success.
Yeah.
Jealousy. All right. Jealousy says, why them and not me? Jealousy wants what other person has. Now remember, and we said this last time, envy, see it, but don't want it, but just don't want you to have it.
Yeah.
Jealousy sees it, and you ask yourself, why not me? All right, I want that.
Correct.
So the two envy and jealousy operating from a different place.
Exactly.
All right, so let's not get it mixed up. So if somebody envy you, they don't want you to have it, but they themselves don't even want it.
Yeah.
Jealousy is, I don't want you to have it. I want what you have.
Yeah.
Because it stems from an emotional discomfort. It stems from the preference. That's where it stems from. All right. Unless the last one is strife. All right. What somebody's saying there. All right. We can pray for this. Somebody said we can pray for this. Listen. All right. Praying is good. All right. We believe in prayer. We endorse prayer. All right. But it's going to take more than prayer, because I've seen intercessors interceding, praying, but still the mindset never shift.
Correct.
Now I want you to catch. Yeah. Go ahead.
That's good. To add what you're saying, I remember Miles Monroe breaking down the 48 journey in the desert, the Israelites.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Okay.
And Miles was actually saying that he ensured that the grouping of people that came from Egypt, he ensured that they all died in the wilderness because the mind wasn't ready to access freedom.
Woo!
You see, because and I remember hearing him saying that he traveled from Egypt to Israel, and he realized the journey from Egypt to Israel was 30 minutes on a flight. He said, so that had to mean if they were walking, it would literally take them 12 days.
Wow,
so then why would God allow a whole mass of people who he was carrying to the promised land to go around in circles for 40 years? The chosen people. You see, you could be chosen, but if your mind isn't at the point whereby you could access freedom, Miles said that he ensured that generation died because the mindset would not have allowed them to access freedom.
Wow. You're preaching there, Pastor Keeshon. That's deep. That's really, really profound, because in my early days, Keeshon, I used to always think about that. I used to always tell myself, I used to say, because, all right, listen, one of the instructions that God said to Moses, he said, these people are going to be kings and priests.
Yeah.
Right? Kings and priests. And listen to this, the concept was everyone supposed to be a king and a priest, and everyone's supposed to come in and access God for themselves. That is what That's the original plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kingdom. That's how it is now. Okay. But coming out now, when they saw how things were operating, they still listen me, we don't want that. They say, Moses, you talk to God, and then come and tell us. So that they plan out to shift. They plan. Yes, it's in the Exodus, it's right there, Keeshon, it's right
Yeah.
there. And and then for me, I was saying these people were slaves.
Yeah. Yeah.
They were indoctrinated, they were taught, they
Correct.
were beaten. It's the same
Yeah.
thing we talking about with the Willie Lynch concept.
Correct.
Okay, they were beaten into submission,
Yeah.
beaten into submission. All right, so you take a people who was enslaved for 430 years, all right, bam, and you said, okay, come on, now let's go now and
Yeah.
possess milk and honey. All right,
Yeah.
you're getting a house you never build, land you never own, it's yours.
Yeah.
This is why, if you realize when individuals' mindset hasn't shifted and
Mm-hmm.
changed, you can offer them a lot of things. They will
Can't
see
get
it, but they
yeah.
can't accept it. This is
Can't.
why poverty is a mindset.
Correct.
You can take somebody out the ghetto, but you can't get the
Can't.
ghetto out of them.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right, because it's a programming. Because the
Exactly.
years of being in the ghetto, your mind will have been programmed to think a certain way, you respond a
Exactly.
certain way, you speak
Yeah.
a certain way, you behave a certain way, you make decisions a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
How that is changing? Reprogramming the mind.
Correct.
Reprogramming the mind. So my good friend who said, pray about it, that's very good, pray about it. But after we pray, we have to do something.
Yeah.
Because yes, for years we have been praying about it.
Yeah.
We have been praying about it. Okay. Now it's time to let's do something about it. Let's get the right information on a
Correct.
consistent basis, repetition to reprogram. Let's get into the courses. Let's invest in our own personal development.
Exactly.
Okay. Because some individuals will go and buy food, they will buy all kind of stuff. And when you tally up the money, it's so much money you spend. All right. And it's just bam, being wasted out. But guess what? Will not take the time to invest in your growth, your personal development. All right. So let me give them the last one. Strife is the vocal disapproval and displeasure of the welfare and good fortune of others in the attempt to corrupt their reputation and goodwill. All right. So
Yeah.
strife is when you open your mouth and start talking about someone to others. Remember this we touched this. So the first one is what? Envy. All right.
Mm.
Envy is that you see them have it. I don't want it. I don't want you to have it. Right. The second one is jealousy. Jealousy. I see what you have. I think you should have that. I should have it. I want it. That is jealousy. All right. Jealousy says them. Why them and not me? All right. So jealousy wants what someone else has. Then strife now is the vocal disapproval and displeasure of the welfare and good fortune of others. Strife now is where you begin to speak.
Yeah.
Against. So you're vocal about it. You're not silent. You're talking about it. Okay? So strife is when you open your mouth and you start talking about someone else. And remember, this is where we talk about what? Criticizing and critiquing. This is where we'll stop with this. All right? Criticizing and critiquing.
Yeah.
And I said this, and we talk about the difference between the two. The difference between the two. So critiquing is when you see someone doing something and you know of a more excellent way, all right, of doing it, and you go to that person and you tell them. Okay, you didn't go to the everybody else and you tell everybody else and you know a better way and say, listen to me, I want to have a chat with you. All right, I want to have a little talk with you. And I see you doing something. All right, it's a good effort and thing, but this I did the same thing already, but and this is how I do it. I'm gonna show you a better way. You talk direct to the person and you show them. All right, that is critiquing. All right, and then you have criticizing is when you see someone doing something and you know of a better way of doing it, and you go to other person. So I'm seeing you doing something, Keeshon. All right, I know of a better way of doing it, and I could show you, I could tell you, but I go to Christian and I say, hey. Look what Keeshon did. You know you shouldn't do that, so and so and so. And you talk, and I go to somebody else again and tell them. But I'm never going to I'm never coming to you and say, that is criticizing, right? And sometimes we fall into that category.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's pointing out faults of someone and others, thinking that talking to that person down will make the good. Because this is why this aspect here of strife is the talking aspect, because you're talking them down so that you can look good.
Yeah.
Come on, come on. All right. And all these stems from the what? The crab mentality, how we have been
Correct.
programmed. And sometimes you can operate in these areas without even knowing. All right. You can operate with it without even knowing. So folks, all right, this morning was different, Keeshon.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was different. All right. Sarah Wong. All right. So folks, just share your takeaway this morning. We always come with a takeaway. All right. Now remember the chat is up. Go back in the chat. Come back on the YouTube link. Share the link with someone. Come again later on and listen it. Okay, with your pen, take some notes and thing. All right. Look at the questions up there. And try your best to see how you can really, really get something. All right. Any takeaway, Keeshon? What's your takeaway?
Well, prayer is good, but we have to actively change our mindset.
Yeah, we got to. So don't just pray. All right, you pray about it, but then after I finish pray, I need to do something. Yeah. All right, this is why it's called intentional. All right, so you do what it takes intentionally to make a difference. Because I've seen people pray, and you see, and a lot of individuals, Keeshon, with that prayer, you it's like you put it in the hands of God.
Yeah,
like you're telling God, you fix it, and God, because when you go to them, people now say, "But I pray about it."
Yeah.
But I tell God about it, and we have been praying about it, and God said, "Yes, I heard your prayer." And guess what? I tell you what to do, and you never did anything about it. Yes, sir? So God said, yes, I heard your prayer. I heard you pray about it. And God said, yes, but I keep telling you what to do about it. And you keep coming back to me to pray about it. And I keep telling you what to do about it. And you keep coming back to me to pray about it. And I keep telling you what to do about it.
Yeah.
Okay? And then you reach a point now where I keep telling you, and I say, I'm not telling you anything again. I will tell Keeshon to tell you. Right? And I will tell Deborah to tell you. And I will tell somebody else to tell you. I will tell somebody on the radio station to tell you. So you're hearing it all over. But you're coming back to me and you say, let's pray about it. That's how dangerous that prayer aspect is, Keeshon. Yeah. All right? Look, some folks trying to take away. All right. So Norton said, even this has become part of the culture in Suriname because of the competitive behavior also as a result of, all right, she says some word there. All right, colonization of the different ethnic groups. You see?
Yeah.
So not just it's all over. Okay, all over. Okay, this is why even the whole jealousy and strife and envy, understanding that aspect, because you will see people operating that behavior and they seem like they can't help themselves. All right. My takeaway, the intentional reprogramming of the subconscious and the conscious mind, and the renewal according to the kingdom culture, norms, principles, and ways, and having the mindset of a king. This is important. Listen to me, for those of you who are on in Suriname, I'm going to be in Suriname the last week in July, and I'm going to be doing mental toughness for success. Mental toughness for success. All right, I'm going to share the flyer here in the next session, but be part of that. All right, I think I will be there in the youth syndrome with Gabi and the folks. But I'm telling you, don't miss that week. All right. If Keeshon update, you could come in for 2 days and you can see Keeshon. All right, Suriname. So we're gonna be there in Suriname. Mental toughness for success. Somebody said prayer is important, but what are you praying for? Prayer is important, but what are you praying for? All right, Serong said crab mentality. What Ingrid said, programming takes time. Consistency is important. That's right, Ingrid. Consistency breeds result. All right. And when you do that, you can't move based on feeling. You can't move based on logic. You can't make boost on your on emotion. All right. So because not every time you will feel good. Just what I'm saying. All right. So this is it, Keeshon. All right. So folks, we want to thank everyone for being on this morning. We know it's a holiday. All right. Stay blessed. and don't ever be stressed. We're going to
Yeah.
be here on Wednesday, same place, same time, all right, with more information for you. Those of you who are on, you probably never subscribe, click that button there so you can know when we are coming on. Also share the live, leave a comment, all right, invite and tag someone, say, listen, man, you need to listen to the Morning Breakfast Brew. All right, so shalom, love you.
Blessings.
Bless-
Have a good one.
All right, take care.